Pamela, thank you so much for jumping on the Innersparx podcast today. We are so excited to have you on and to get into performance and your journey as a high performer. But before we begin, do you mind just telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I am Pamela Wise. I'm a wife, mother, and partner at Wise and Partners. We are financial advisors based here in DuPont Circle, Washington, D.C.
Awesome. Great. And has financial planning, financial background always been your background?
Yeah, ever since college. I started as a cold caller in college and got a job right upon graduation and have been employed in financial services ever since.
And what was that journey like for you then, from starting as a cold caller to now you're running your own, what's the correct word for it? Running your own firm or running your own, what's the correct terminology?
Practice. I would say my own practice. Yeah.
Your own practice. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot has happened in between. Let's get into that a little bit. What have you learned? How have you grown and changed? And has your approach to finance, or even your passion for it, changed over the course of the years?
Yeah, so I would say what drew me to financial services was just the fact that it sort of touches everything. It's just very fast moving and dynamic and interesting. I wasn't inherently interested in numbers. I wasn't particularly great at math. I've come to realize I actually am very good with numbers, but I didn't necessarily feel that way upon graduation. I was just good with people. And this is a business that's definitely definitely more about people than it is about math or numbers. And so I think that's what drew me to it. Also just current events and the fact that everything sort of factors into the market. I mean, I like to say that capitalism is the one religion that the whole world can agree on.
That's a good one. That's a good line.
Right? I mean, maybe not the whole world, but like all of the major economies for sure.
When you first started out, what did that look like for you? You said you were cold calling.
Yeah.
Did you have plans then to have your own practice and to have your own firm, or what has the journey been like?
So I was a cold caller. My first job was in operations. I was terrible at opening accounts because I couldn't be bothered to like get the numbers right. Problem was, the bills were sent out based on the numbers that I like fat figured into the spreadsheet. So I mean, I think I was a popular and charismatic employee, but not particularly amazing at the exact role that I had been hired for. So I was kind of discovered by some guys that were in sales, and they were like, "We need her." And that's when it all clicked for me. That was about a year after graduation. I had been a cold caller as an intern. So a year of cold calling, a year working in operations. And then I like to say I got scraped off of the bottom of a canoe by a guy that was in sales. Like he just kind of plucked me out of nowhere and was like, "You need to be talking to people all day long." So I landed a job on what's called a sales desk, which looks kind of like a trading desk with a group of other guys, 100, all guys. And we were, selling mutual funds basically to financial advisors out in the field across the country. And so, I just found that I was really good at it. It was really easy for me and it was fun. And so when you put that together, it made me like very successful at the job because I had no problem hitting the metrics, both activity and sales metrics. And then after about a year of doing that, getting licensed, et cetera, they moved me out into a territory. So they moved me to Chicago. I was in Richmond, Virginia at the time. They moved me to Chicago. I immediately, I knew I was going to love that, and I did. I had $100,000 expense account. And so I just like went around talking about mutual funds, taking people out to dinner, talking about the markets, traveling with portfolio managers, driving all over Illinois and Wisconsin. That was amazing. I did that for 5 years. What happens when you're good at sales is that they promote you into management, which is a really bad theme that happens in careers, right? So they moved me into management. And I was like, yeah, do not like this. Like, I don't want to be responsible for motivating a team to do the stuff that I could just pick up the phone and do myself. Like, I wanted to just take over all of their territories basically and just do it myself versus like trying to cajole them into high performance. So that was actually, I know this podcast is about performance. So I would think that was one of my like hurdles is, performance comes in a lot of different packages. And I knew how to perform as an individual contributor, but getting a team to perform, I found was much harder for me. And I just did not actually enjoy it at all. So I did that for about 4 years. I learned a ton, but my first available opportunity to get back out into face-to-face conversations, staying close to where the money transacts is what I did. And so I guess if you add all that time up, that was like 12 or 13 years into my career, 10, somewhere around there. I joined a practice here in Washington, D.C. and have been an advisor ever since.
Wow. And now, though, jumping into that, we're kind of back in that managerial position, no? Or how would you say that, right? Where now it's kind of your own practice, your own firm. What have you kind of taken from those experiences to now apply to your performance in today's day and age?
Well, what's great about running my own firm now is that I have full authority over the hiring decisions. I mean, I happen to have a completely awesome, high-performing team with me right now. In more corporate roles, I didn't have full discretion over hiring decisions. And so I would often get stuck with a team that was like the best I could cobble together, but not really like what I would have wanted. So I think, from a performance perspective, setting as a leader, right? Considering myself a leader, like setting the proper culture for people that want to be in a high performance atmosphere is like one of the first things, right? Because there's a lot of people, I don't want to out any of my family, but I have a few family members that work in financial services. And one in particular, said to me this summer, he's like, wow, I'm just so proud of you. I just don't want to work that hard though. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's the performance culture, right? It's like, that's fine. That's his choice, like his life. But for me, like not the person that's going to be a good fit on my team. I'll drive him crazy. He'll drive me crazy. So I think like setting the tone of performance and accountability, and then also just like leading by example for me, there's nothing here that I'm not willing to do. There are things that are better for me to do than others, things I'm better at, right? Things where my skills are best put to use, but there's nothing I'm above doing. It's like everybody has to be rowing in the same direction, I think, to have a higher performing team. So I think, to answer your question, bring it full circle, is just to say that managing is a lot easier now that I'm doing my own thing. Managing in a corporate environment where I was just kind of representing the layers of bureaucracy above me, not my thing.
Yeah, and you mentioned culture. I want to tap in on that. Have you then, because you guys are completing 1 year the opening. So congratulations. That's so exciting.
Oh my God, it's so awesome. I was just actually writing a note to our clients to talk about how grateful I am and how thrilled I am to be where we are, and how, it's actually scary. Like looking back, it was everything about it has been scary. But I think the thing that's scary now is like, well, how much can we actually do? Like intimidated by my own potential a little bit, it's awesome.
Definitely. This year of then culture building and setting the tone and finding the baseline, doing all that, how has that been for you? And do you feel like you've established a successful culture?
Yeah, it's funny, actually, when I was just kind of preparing and thinking about this conversation, thank you for having this with me. I love opportunities like this. And I was thinking, what really drives performance if you take it back to like its inception? And I think it has to start with vision, right? Like it has to start with vision. You can't achieve something. Like, what's the definition of performance? I'm not sure I came up with a really great definition, because it's something about like measuring against an objective. But if there's an objective, it has to start with a vision. Like, what's the vision? And for me here, and our success came from a very distinct vision, both what I knew I wanted to create and what I definitely knew I wanted to avoid, right? But focusing more on the positives of what you're trying to build and having a distinct view of that as something different in the marketplace. I mean, I think that's what starts really creating a culture that then can lead to performance, because then you can measure against it. If you can articulate that vision, you can measure against it, and measuring against it to an achievable, outcome, I think, is maybe the definition of performance, right?
Again, that kind of goes into the reason as to why I've started this podcast, is to learn from what does performance mean for everybody, from every different field, from athletes, musicians, actors, CEOs, entrepreneurs. HR directors across the board, because I believe that everybody can embody performance and it just looks slightly different. But fundamentally, there's a lot of similarities that I think we can all cross over and learn from. We're like, what can we learn from the musician who gets on stage and plays guitar versus right the athlete who steps on the field? And I think you have it absolutely right, vision. Because if you don't have something you want to achieve, then what are you doing essentially?
And there are just so many people that just kind of float along. Like they just don't actually, and I don't know why, whether it's something they just haven't found the right thing to turn them on, or whether it's that that's just not the way they want to live their life or not how they're wired or whatever. But for me, it always starts with like a vision. Yeah. Like this is what I want. This is what I'm trying to do. There it is. How do I get that?
And you mentioned at the beginning of the call, you wear a lot of different hats, right? You said mother, you said partner, entrepreneur, fashion designer.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
Thank you.
How do you fuel then your performance? What's pushing you forward?
Well, I think what fuels my performance is I'm thinking about this. I'm like thinking it comes from within. It's a confidence, I think, right? It's like it's a confidence in not being afraid to first have a vision and put that out there, right? So I think that's what drives me is, and I'm so fortunate, I've known that about myself since I was a teenager, is like, I'm just not really afraid. And so that translates to confidence, I think, in a genuine way. It doesn't mean I'm a jerk, you know, cocky, whatever necessarily, although I'm sure there are people that would say that, but I think it's more just like an inner drive. Like I don't really measure myself against anybody else. I really measure myself against myself and what I know I can do. And just knowing like, I don't think of myself really as highly intelligent, but I've learned that intelligence is actually the ability to adapt to change and to just try things. And so by that measure, if that's a definition of intelligence, like I am intelligent because I'm not ever afraid to try it. I have a very high ability to figure things out. I like to laugh. In graduate school, one of the only A's I got was in operations, which you would never think for someone who works basically in an advice role. Like operations is so boring, right? One of the only A's I got, operations, because I'm like, well, first this, then that. One decision informs the next.
On this note then of problem solving and being creative, how do you find the time? Because I work with a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard this too, where it's like, oh my goodness, you do so many things. Like your days must be so busy, or where do you get the extra hours in the day? Like, do you have just set structures and routines and habit systems that just inform your day to day? Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yes, people say that to me all the time. Like, how do you have the time? How do you do it? And then they say, you must never sleep.
And
I am a huge sleeper. I am a huge sleeper. In fact,
perfect.
People say like, how do you keep yourself in shape? How do you eat well? I'm like, if I had to start with one of these things, right? Because like having a good lifestyle is, you know, taking care of yourself, eating well, exercise, sleep, whatever, making time, having time with your family and friends. The place to start, in my opinion, is sleep.
100%. I will back you to the moon on this. Like that is the best thing you can do for yourself is get good sleep.
Yeah. And if you don't get good sleep, like I wake up the next day, I'm in a bad mood. Then I make bad decisions about food. Then I make a bad decision about not working out because I made a bad decision about food and I'm in a bad mood. It just snowballs to the point where by 8 p.m. I am like, just shut me in my bedroom and put me to bed because I'm done. Like no one wants to talk to me. I don't want to talk to myself. Like I'm done. So, so how do I create those routines? I mean, so you have to first know what works for you. And I don't know why people have such a hard time with that. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, like, why is it that people don't try enough things to figure out what works for them? And then they're just stuck in this rut of things that don't work. Like, I know what works for me. So it's very easy for me. Like today, I was up late last night. I've been traveling this week. So like today's Ash Wednesday. So I'm fasting. So I'm not going to make a bad food decision because I'm just like, I'm fasting. But like, if I wake up tomorrow when I want to have a good day, I know exactly what to do that. Right? It's like I would need to wake up no later than 6 a.m., preferably before that. I need to have coffee. That's how I like to wake up. I need a slow wake up. I do not like to be forced into something immediately. Like I'm awake, I can converse, I can do stuff, but I don't really want to be forced into things. Then I need to work out, right? Like as soon as possible outside, right?
Mhm.
The fresh air and the light and all that stuff. Anyway, I could keep going, but so I think it's just knowing the routine, right? I mean, that's how you and many people just, I don't think they know what makes them feel right. And
Yeah.
so they can't do it because they're not even sure, or they haven't practiced it enough. Like, why is that? Maybe you have a theory. I'm like, why can't people figure that out?
I think there's three things that are involved. I went to a massage therapist and he was helping with my shoulder or something. And he did his work and it just felt incredible. And I had no idea that that's what it could feel like. So I
Right.
think people are trapped in a understanding of this is the best that it can be.
Mhm.
If I have a bottle of wine every night and I wake up, I don't think I'm hungover or dehydrated, but my body's just so used to it. The body is the best at adapting. So you can function,
Right.
but you're going to function poorly. But if all you know is that, then you're going to think it's optimal. So I think that's one thing is nobody knows. Two, it's hard. I'm sure that took years of constant improvement and constant, right? You said something really interesting. Wake up no later than 6 a.m., like preferably before. I think that in and of itself, how many times of trial and error did you have to figure that out? It's like, ooh, 6:15. Nope, still not quite it, right? Or 5:45 and oh man, it was a great day. But then recognizing it and writing that down or just making a mental note. Okay,
Yeah.
wow, day 5:30, got my workout in, got my coffee slow mo, right? Being aware. So a lack of awareness then in just what could be, then a lack of awareness to care even or put in the hard work of like instant the world of instant gratification,
Yeah.
right? And I think those are the two I know I said three, but those are like the two major things that just come to mind. And the other thing could be, yeah, maybe people just don't want to, right? You kind of mentioned it where it's like your family member who just doesn't want to work that hard. I don't think people also really want to put that much time and energy and effort into it. When, for example, I could just, oh, I'm not feeling well. Let me just take an ibuprofen
Yeah.
or let me just drink an energy drink. Okay, I'm fine.
You just triggered this in my head, like delayed gratification, right?
100%.
You can have the thing that's going to make you feel good now for 5 minutes, or the thing that's a bigger investment, but then it's going to make you feel good. Like it's like what you said about drinking a bottle of wine, right? It's like it feels good now, but it's like the trade-off is not worth it for how bad you'll feel later.
No.
So it's like if you are cognizant of that and you paid attention to it, you can see it, you know it, then you can, it's much easier for me. And I guess that's probably just a personality thing in terms of like a discipline, right? Like just a discipline to know like, wow, yes, that cookie will taste delicious for 45 seconds. And then I'm going to feel bad. When it comes time to eat dinner, I might not be hungry. It's going to set me off on a bad path, whatever. So delayed gratification, I think, makes a big impact.
Yeah. And no, but that is my current job is figuring out then, right, behavioral change theory, like how can we, right, set some systems, set some optimizations so that we can do everything and still spend time with your family, right?
Yeah.
You can have a fashion line, you can be a successful entrepreneur, you can have 2 dogs, continue to run, work out, be healthy, sleep, and spend time with your family at the end of the day, right? It is possible, but it's not easy. But the question would then be like, is it more rewarding than the not saying no like all the time? Like I'm sure there's times where whatever a wine or a beer comes into play every now and again, right? But it's not a consistent thing. I heard a phrase the other day of like, you are what you do consistently.
Yeah.
And that is just, I think, such a good reminder as we dive into this world of high performance and embodying high performance. Like, what does that then mean, and what decisions do we make to further that? And it sounds like, yeah, you've got quite the systems and quite the routines in play.
Well, I also just think like, I'm thinking about your comment about me, having time for my family, having time to do the things I want. I don't, just like we were talking about food, not eating the cookie, but waiting for a healthy dinner. It's the same thing about every like micro decision about your time. not doing the things that you know are not good for you. Like, don't talk yourself into thinking it's okay to watch TV for 4 hours a night or doom scroll for 4 hours a night. You know, like just recognizing it's not good for you. So you cut out all those junky little decisions, and there's a heck of a lot more time in your day.
100%. 100%. And so on that topic then, how do you view high performance? How do you view, and what would you label as, oh, this person is a high performer? What does that mean to you?
I mean, to me, at this point in my life, high performance is people like living the way that they want to live. Because I thought a lot about this, like in preparation, like what is high performance? I mean, it's goal achievement, but what is goal achievement? Like, what are the goals? Mine are different than yours, that are different than my colleagues or my neighbors or whatever. So it's like, and this reminds me, I had an awesome boss. He would always just be like, keep it tight, Pamela, keep it tight. He's like, I don't care what you wear to work, but just like look purposeful about what you're doing, right? And I think like, so what is high performance? I think high performance is like keeping it tight around the life you want to live or who you want to be, which again comes back to like knowing in the first place what that is.
You mentioned too, as a personality trait and something that you've had this confidence for a long time, do you still set goals, and how do you know then what you want?
Oh my God.
How have you figured that out?
Well, do I set goals? Absolutely. This is a funny thing about me. Like if I write it down, I'm going to do it. So the decision for me is not if it's written down whether or not I do it. It's do I write it down? Because if I write it down, it's getting done. Like then it's accountability. It's done. So do I set goals? Absolutely. How do I come up with the goals? I mean, at this point in my life, it's pretty cool because like combining it with the confidence, it's like, how do I want to live? No holds barred. Like there's never like I'm a, what do they call it? A person that comes from a place of abundance versus scarcity. Right. So like I'm a person that's like, it'll be okay if I do it. Like, I think you regret far more the things you don't do than the things you do. So I like push myself. I'm like, if there's ever a choice, like, do I do that? Do I not do that? Like take a minute to reflect, but like the answer is always to do it, always to do it.
And we talked about the systems that you have in place, the things that you're currently doing. How much of that is in self-reflection or self-learning?
Yeah, this has become way more important to me. I turned 50 this year, and it's become much more.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Much more important to hit this huge major milestone. Like there's just no avoiding that you are a full-fledged adult when you're hitting 50 and you're, it's just like, there's no, like, people can say, oh, you don't look 50, but like, you're just having to really admit that you're an adult at 50. So I think self-reflection has come in a lot more because you sort of see like the back nine thing, right? The front nine, the back nine, like not to be morbid. I plan to live definitely for another 50 years, but it's like, well, what have I, now that I've built to this place, like, what are the things I want to do with the rest of this one crazy life that I have on this planet? So, so self-reflection, you have to spend the time to do that, to like devise a strategy, right? You can't, I'm a pretty good impulsive decision maker, but I think the reason I'm good at impulsive decisions is because I know myself, right? And it's taken my time to know that stuff, trial and error, putting yourself out there, right? So another line I love is activity generates business, right? If you just like get out there and do, and I've heard this, there's lots of different ways that people say the same thing, like business begets business, activity generates business. You put yourself out there from a place of abundance and just throw yourself into the situation, like you're going to learn really fast, a lot of things. Some will be bad, some will be amazing, but if you never do it, you don't get the reps. I laugh with my team here at work. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to send you an email about that. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't read. I have to just actually do it. Of course I can read. Everybody knows that, but I don't want to read it. I want to try it.
But as we wrap up today, tell me just a little bit about if you had 3 pieces of advice for maybe someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur, or someone who wants to be a high performer, is a high performer. What are 3 things that you would say to that person?
I mean, the first one is, like I said, activity generates business, 100%. Like the reps of just doing stuff, you'll figure it out. Like just do stuff, whatever it is. Don't, like, done is better than perfect, right? It's kind of the same. Like it's just, maybe that's the second one. I'll go with activity generates business because done is better than perfect. Like just doing something is better than not doing it because you're afraid it wasn't going to be perfect. So just try it. And then learn from your mistakes, I guess. Like, but it's just kind of all the feels like the same thing to me, right? It's like a continuum of like activity generates. I just to learn from your mistakes. I mean, the reps in your life will teach you, and then bottom line, again, I've said it before, but like come from a place of abundance. Like you'll regret far more the things you don't do. If you always put yourself in a position of like, I can do it, or even raising my kids, I would say, if I can possibly say yes, I'm saying yes. If I have to say no, I'll say no. But like, is there a way to do this? Can I say yes to this? And maybe that's like a life thing too.
Well, it seems to me, my interpretation of everything that you just said is like things are circular instead of linear.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's a generate business, you do it, you learn from it, you reflect maybe, and then you do something else, and then you get it done, right? Instead of, I think, I mean, myself included, I think very flat, where it's like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then it's done, and then I'm into the void. What else is going to happen next? And versus this, like, all right, how do you continue to make it into a loop instead of into just like a flat, all right, once you're done, hang it up, call it there.
Sitting on your laurels, like, there's just, life's too short.
Definitely. Do you have any closing remarks as we finish it up today?
I'm going to end where we started. Sleep. Right?
It's number one. Sleep.
I know at this age that like some people, I hear this from my friends, oh, I can't do what you do. And I'm like, try sleeping like 9 hours a night first. Just try that. 8.5, 8 to 9. Let's go there. And then see what you can do. Because it's not about the minutes, it's about the quality of the minutes, I think. Right?
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Right? You can do more at a higher level if you're not like worn out all the time. You know?
And I mean, you said it earlier too, and I like to describe it as a negative feedback loop versus a positive feedback loop, right? Where it's, if I got a good night's sleep, then I'm going to make good nutrition choices. Then that's going to fuel my body to move. And after all that, my brain is going to be stimulated. I'm going to have a great work day. And I'm going to be tired by the end of the day, which is going to get me another good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Versus terrible night's sleep. I just want to eat whatever's in front of me. I'm going to then feel so lethargic and lazy that I'm not going to move my body. By the time it gets to when I should be winding down, I all of a sudden have energy because I didn't do anything all day. Another bad night, right? It just is, you got to break the cycle or you got to choose a cycle for sure. I think sleep, is, if I could help everyone with one thing, definitely it would be sleep.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we can agree. I mean, what you were just saying also like the human body is generally underutilized. Like your physical body is just underutilized. So when you're describing like all of a sudden you have energy at night, it's like, I never want to have energy. I want to be done like a good day. And there's an amazing poem that I'm trying to memorize, but I haven't memorized it yet. But it's If by Rudyard Kipling. And it's like, if you can run the distance, it ends with saying like 60 seconds worth of distance run, then you'll be a man, my son. It's like, measure it down into these 60 like chunks of like, do your best for that little chunk. You can't look at a lifetime, but you can look at these little chunks of time, a day, a week, a month, whatever, an hour. How do I want to spend this time? Be intentional about it. So anyway. It's been such a pleasure. I loved it. I'm so excited I've never been on a podcast before. This is so cool.
Well, I mean, you did amazing. Yeah, it was so great having you. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with me. It's been incredible. There's so much good information that I know everybody is going to love and learn from.